Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're going to unpack a truly fascinating classic folktale deeply rooted in traditional Urdu and Hindi literature. It's part of this incredible storytelling tradition that's famous for weaving really profound moral truths into what seem like simple little narratives. And this specific tale, well, it completely flips our traditional understanding of intelligence right on its head. It's the story of a boy named Kamal. It's a tale where pure, simple innocence literally outsmarts royal cunning. So, by analyzing the narrative structure of this story today, we're going to see exactly how pure intentions can navigate a world that is just totally obsessed with cleverness. Okay, let's dive right into this.
To really understand our protagonist, Kamal, you just have to listen to this highly unique investment strategy he gives his mother's chickens. Picture this. He's standing on a wall, giving a dead serious lecture to a flock of birds. He's actually telling them to be absolutely quiet after laying eggs, so thieves won't hear them. He's treating a simple chicken coop like a high-security bank vault, where the assets just happen to be eggs. Now, to the rest of the village, this behavior makes him look like a total simpleton, but to Kamal, it's just highly practical advice.
Section 1. The Village Simpleton. Let's meet Kamal.
Before his grand adventure even begins, Kamal is just living a quiet life in a small mud house with his hardworking mother, Zubaydah. She supports them by sowing and working the fields, while Kamal spends his days having these absolutely hilarious, everyday interactions with the villagers. And it's mostly because there's this fundamental difference in how his brain processes the world compared to, well, everyone else. For example, when an old woman asks him to clean the village well, normal logic tells you that you clean it so you can get fresh water. But Kamal's logic? He agrees to clean it, sure, but he insists on taking a bath first before they refill it. His mind just completely short-circuits traditional thinking. But here's the thing. When the village boys tease him about his brain short-circuiting, Kamal just shrugs and replies that while his brain might short-circuit, his heart is always pure. And honestly, as we'll see, that distinction is everything.
Section 2. The Golden Fish Quest. A magical prank goes wrong.
So, every good folktale needs a call to adventure, right? Well, the inciting incident for Kamal's journey actually starts as a prank pulled by his mischievous friends, Shakil and Munawar. They totally convince him that there's this magical lake where fish turn into solid gold. And Kamal? He immediately packs a bag, ready to go build his mama palace. They depart from the village, cross the river, and venture deep into the treacherous forest. Now, the main takeaway here is that Kamal is completely, 100% oblivious to the threats out there. His mother frantically warns him about the king's dangerous hunters roaming the woods, but Kamal just smiles at her and says he's taking his intellect with him. Which, ironically, is exactly what his mother is so terrified of.
It's fascinating because, under pressure, Kamal's mind simply refuses to process fear the way we normally do. He turns a terrifying wilderness into a casual philosophical stroll. Twisted tree branches reaching out in the dark shadows. He thinks they look exactly like his grandma's fingers. A loud, squawking, scary bird? He happily points out that it sounds just like his friend Shakil. And when they're forced to take their shoes off to cross a freezing river, he doesn't complain. He calls it a great arrangement provided by nature just to cool their feet down.
Section 3. Captured by the king. Things get real.
So the group wanders way too far, and suddenly, the quiet of the forest is shattered by this heavy, rhythmic thudding echoing through the trees. Hearing this terrifying sound of a massive royal hunting camp on the move, Kamal doesn't panic. Instead, he confidently declares, "That is definitely the sound of a golden fish swimming." It's hilarious how he completely misinterprets the danger. His friends know they are in mortal peril and are probably freaking out, but Kamal just marches straight toward the armed royal guards, fully expecting a golden fish to be waiting for him at the end of the road.
Now, what's genuinely amazing here is how Kamal's priorities remain totally unbothered even when he's facing imprisonment or death. Just look at how consistent he is. When he's arrested by heavily armed royal guards, does he beg for his life? Nope. He strictly demands his share of the golden fish. When they force him onto a prisoner's horse, he actually praises the guards for providing an excellent free ride service. And when he's finally locked up in a palace guest house, literally facing possible execution, he spots a giant watermelon out in the royal garden and immediately starts negotiating with his terrified friends over who gets the bigger half. The kids simply cannot be intimidated.
And he keeps this up, even as he's being marched through these grand, incredibly intimidating marble halls of the palace to face the king. Kamal is just completely himself. While his friends and even the hardened guards are visibly terrified of approaching the royal throne, Kamal casually stops to critique this majestic painting of a lion hunt. He looks at it, notes that the lion looks a bit scared, and earnestly advises the guards to tell the king to fix the lion's mustache. I mean, wow. He effortlessly diffuses the tension of absolute, terrifying power with just pure, unfiltered observation.
Section 4. The 3 questions. The ultimate test of intellect.
So the king is sitting there, totally intrigued by this boy who shows zero fear. He decides that instead of punishing Kamal, he's going to test his intellect with 3 seemingly impossible riddles. A correct answer brings a massive reward. Failure means strict punishment. Now, the night before the trial, his friends are in utter despair, but Kamal is busy preparing. And his preparation method? Completely literal. He sets out 3 empty bowls on the floor. When his friends ask him why, he calmly explains, if the king's question is about food, the first bowl can be filled. If it's about thirst, the second can hold water. And if the question is about brains, well, that third bowl is currently empty. It's just a fantastic, tangible representation of his open, completely unburdened mind.
The very next morning in the grand court, the king presents the first royal riddle. It's a classic philosophical trap, one that regularly stumps even the wisest scholars in the kingdom. What is the most valuable thing in the world? Naturally, the entire court expects this simple village boy to say gold, or maybe diamonds. But instead, Kamal delivers a profoundly deep answer. He just looks at the king and says, time. He reasons that while lost gold or lost silver can always be found again, lost time never returns. The source material tells us that the murmuring court suddenly falls completely silent at this unexpected wisdom. This is the exact moment the entire room's perception of him shifts. The simpleton from the village just delivered a masterclass in philosophy.
So let's move to the second riddle, which is actually a really tricky political question about royal authority. The king leans in and asks, if the king is half a king, who is the other half? Make no mistake, this is a dangerous question. Answer wrong and you deeply insult the monarch.
But Kamal doesn't even hesitate. He answers, the subjects. He simply explains that a king is nothing without his people, and the people are nothing without a king. This answer is brilliant because it perfectly exposes Kamal's innate, totally uncorrupted understanding of leadership and social contracts. It's a concept that the king's own highly educated seasoned viziers had struggled to fully grasp.
At this point, the king is just stunned, but he has one final intellectual challenge up his sleeve. The third and final riddle. What is everywhere but unseen?
Kamal just smiles and answers, God's power and nature. Everything runs on it, but the eyes cannot see it. The text notes that a totally stunned silence fell over the court, which was quickly followed by echoing applause. Kamal's simple, pure worldview effortlessly sliced right through complex theological and philosophical traps that would have tangled up anyone else.
Section 5. The final practical tests. Putting wisdom into action. Now, answering riddles is one thing, right? But actually governing is a whole different ballgame. The king demands Kamal apply his wisdom to real messy disputes to prove his actual worth. First up, 2 men are fiercely fighting over a goat, angrily waving legal documents at each other. Kamal completely ignores their paperwork. He simply lets the goat loose, stating that the animal will naturally run straight to its true owner. Boom. Simple common sense over bureaucracy. Second, he's tasked with finding a thief in the royal kitchen. Kamal brilliantly checks the suspect's hands. It turns out the actual thief had washed his hands so carefully to hide his crime that he accidentally trapped flour dust deep inside his own sleeves. And finally, the king demands an ultimate truth to quiet the arrogant court. Kamal states that everyone thinks they are the smartest, but the truly smart person is the one who easily admits they don't know everything.
Section 6. The unlikely vizier. From the village to ultimate power. Following a massive grand coronation, Kamal is reunited with his tearful, joyful mother. He's officially handed the immense power of the entire kingdom. Though hilariously, his only real concern during the serious ceremony was whether his favorite ragged old hat would still fit comfortably underneath the heavy vizier's crown. So what is his very first official decree as the new vizier? He mandates that exactly 1 large pot of kheer, a sweet rice pudding, must be made daily and distributed to absolutely everyone. Why? Because as Kamal reasons, a full stomach prevents an empty mind, and happy people make much better decisions. The king just laughs and wholeheartedly agrees with him.
You know, the core takeaway of Kamal's story offers such a stark contrast to how we usually view intelligence today. Standard intellect so often relies on overthinking things, on deception, and on navigating these incredibly complex rules. But Kamal succeeds because of his fearless honesty, his complete lack of ego, and the pure intentions of a simple heart. Think about it. He never once tried to outsmart the king or the royal court. He just told the truth exactly as he saw it.
So I want to leave you with this final thought to reflect on as we wrap up today's explainer. Is true wisdom really found in the thick books of the clever, or is it actually found in the fearless honesty of the simple? Kamal's wild journey from a village laughingstock all the way to a royal vizier really challenges us to reevaluate what it truly means to be smart. Thank you so much for joining me today, and keep questioning the wisdom around you.